Hello to everyone, my name is Kolokotroni and I am a PhD researcher at the University of the Aegean on the island of Syros in Greece. Today we will present you together with Nikopoulos, a postdoctoral researcher at the Ionian University, under the guidance of the Assistant Professor Kyriakoulakos, the paper which is called Experiments on Non-Human Transmedia Character Design. The research in this paper is initially applied to the fields related to animation films and video games, the three-dimensional modeling of characters and scenes, as of course it also extends to the field of performing arts, such as physical theatre and dance. The aim of this research is to develop a methodology for animating digital non-human characters using a motion capture technique. More specifically, we're called to study, experiment and collect results about the kinetic characteristics of digital non-human characters, creating an valuable methodology. The fields of research, as we mentioned before, it's the animation films, video games, the performing arts and the motion capture technology on which we rely on. In this paper, we apply a case study on a multi-platform project by Nikopoulos, which is called Monologue. It's a transmedia project under development. There have been some initial characters and scenes as a development plans for the animated short film. There is a video game pilot, and as a future plans include our consideration on a live animation performance. This project is funded by the Hellenic Ministry of Culture through the Digital Culture Program from 2020. And the production is the Six Impossible Wishes and Baobab Productions. The concept of the monologue is about a pair of centaurs in the night which are sleeping in their cave. Their restless sleep causes them to sweat and breathe heavily while their hands and hair become involuntarily entangled, just as they sleep in each other's arms. They experience a common, violent, but at the same time a romantic nightmare in the middle of the night, which transports them to three different landscapes of their life. Both centers, however, lend their bodies to non-human forms than their own. The rest of the non-human forms in this project are a female center, a male center, a gender fluid center, a female mantis, a male center with Dalis elephant feet, a female turtle center, and female bird center like an ostrich.
Hello also for me, I'm Yorgos, and I would like to say some things about this form of the center. So we choose this non-human character because it is half human and half animal. It was really suitable for our experiments because we can use whatever we know about the humanoid rigs and the human-like rigs, and we could say that we had the half of the problem solved. Not exactly, but this is what our thought was. So, about the morphological analysis of the body of a centaur. In order to animate it through motion capture in animation and also in live performance, we should have a rig which can be applied in every one of these three categories. So we will break down the rig now. The centaur rig characteristics is that the rig has two arms, of course, like the human, four legs, from which the two can be the human legs, but we don't pay attention to that now. We could say that it has two bodies, as you can see in this picture, like the human body and the animal body, of course, one head and one tail. What is the transmedia character? I think that we should give a description, not a definition exactly, but a description of what is the transmedia character. This transmedia character, as I told you before, is a digital character which is designed to be integrated with the same structure set up, exactly with the same structure, in these three or more media. like animation, games, and interactive live performances. This has a lot to do with the rig, the armature. Maybe you know a lot of programs that can do the rigging automatically, like Mixam or ActorCore, or a lot of them. And they will help us in our experiment, as you will see. But the first thoughts of the rig, before going to that direction, was that our rigging experiments had to do with quadruped rig, which Blender has with some add-ons or by default some quadruped rigs, which we had of course to transform it a little. Another experiment was to use two humanoid rigs, one for the front and one for the back. And the third experiment is a single humanoid rig with edited bone weights.
Regarding the design of the non-human character, like the centaur, there are some theoretical and art sorts that we relied on. The first distinction we make when we see character in usual weather, it is a human like us, or non-human, so-called animal, plant, robots, zombies, etc. But we realize that this character in our mind has human shape, human body or features, even if the character itself is not a human. This is because we humans as an audience understand the character better when we share common characteristics with us, both in appearance and in feelings. There are many examples where non-human characters behave like humans. For example, in Disney movie Finding Nemo, where all the main characters are fishes, but they think and act like humans. But this not means that they're humanized. According to the following theories, Transmedia character is a fictional hero whose adventures are narrated in different distribution channels, offering additional information about his life, like said per date in 2014. Transmedia characters, according to Starkberg, present some characteristics which are divided in four categories. First, physical characteristics, second, psychological characteristics, then behavioral characteristics, and finally, social characteristics.
One part of the methodology that we used includes one prototype of my research, which is called animating human dolls. Animating human dolls is a methodology for using the human body as an animating object in animation. I have tried to transform some of the principles, 12 principles of Disney. I used other of them as they were, and the concept is to apply a movement, a body language that is really close to what cartoons used to have. As you can see in these pictures down there, they're from our rehearsals and shots and the actual film of my PhD basic work called The Ox. This was a feature film, and this was the moment that firstly the idea of animating human dolls came up. We're trying to use squash and stretch, anticipation, kind of a follow through, slow in and slow out, use arcs which are already used of course in physical movement, but we exaggerated on them, change the timing of the casual body language in order to fit more in a hyper-realistic way. And this is what I do now for my postdoc research. Of course, you can see the related video, which is a combination of Sento Lodigiani's short video about the 12 principles of animation and how I used these principles in this film that you can see the snapshots. Except from the animating human dolls, which is, I would say, a very big part of our work and my work personally, we also use some theoretical, which are also practical references about motion capture animation, about acting in animation, and we have a lot of references, a lot of things to take our inspiration in physical theater and the method of Jacques Lecoq, from the essay Marionettes of Heinrich von Kleist, and of course The Illusion of Life, which describes the 12 principles of animation. I myself exercise a lot in theater, in physical theater, with the method of Jacques Lecoq in a workshop here in Athens for 4 years now, which means that I'm a lot working with masks, with neutral masks, with character masks, and I found a lot of small details that can go directly and fit into animation, from theater to animation, from this theater to animation.
During the research process, some experiments were carried with the center character at the International Conference at Summer School on Extended Arts in July 2023 at the University of the Aegean Syros. The animating human dolls method explained earlier, which involves applying the 12 principles of Disney animation to human bodies, was used experimentally to capture the movement characteristics of the center. The participants are asked to animate various models, including the center, through the guidance of us, exploring new kinetic characteristics coming from the theories we have based on. Concerning the technical process, experiments were carried out during workshops of charts with the help of the participants from the University of Paris. More specifically, the Rococo Smart Suite Pro was used by the participants in order to record the kinetic characteristics of the 3D center model for the Transmedia work monologue. The participants tried to imitate, observe, and perceive the physicality and the personality of a center by combining the kinesthetic experience with the intention of improvisation. The tools we use for our technical research are the programs Blender, Unity, and Rococo Studio Smart Suite Pro.
The experiments with the center rigs on which we focused more were experimenting in Blender with two humanoid rigs, separating the mesh in two parts or keeping the mesh combined, which we're not really happy with the results. And then we experimented a little more with a humanoid rig, just a single humanoid rig, in which we kind of hacked it in order to have something like a movement in the whole body. The first experiment was about using more rigs than I told you, like the quadruple single rig extended, which we could not even throw it in Rococo Studio, of course, with two humanoid rigs, which I told you before that was not really easy to handle. The basic thing that was that the rigs had to be attached to each other as objects. They had to follow each other. So we had to do some parenting experiments between these two rigs, like child of constraints through Blender, which didn't go well. After the parenting, the whole bone weights were not working at all. We would like to work further on that. The two humanoid rigs on the divided mesh, like being two meshes, needs also further experiments. And the one that worked more and more easily was a single humanoid rig with edited bone weights, like we hacked the rig. This was the most usual method in Rococo Studio by applying the center avatar to the default Rococo Studio mannequin. We took the center mesh and we uploaded to Mixamo in ActorCore, which gave us an already rigged mesh. And after that we did a little some changes on the bone weights of the back legs in order to follow the front legs, which had the armature, but the back legs had no armature. And this way we kind of made the illusion of the center walking. But the best thing with this is that gives the opportunity to the performer to exercise by watching themselves in Rococo Studio. They're moving themselves and they're watching a center moving like themselves. So this is from all the experiments, this was the more successful. We wrote down the very first results for the single humanoid rig, of course, with the edited bone weights. So in the pros, we wrote down that it makes it able to see live movement in Rococo Studio, needs only one humanoid rig, can be transferred easily to Unity, of course, and can be animated in live performance. But in the cons, we have a low level of accuracy for the back legs, low level of accuracy for the animal body at all, and the back legs depend on the front legs. And we have no tail movement. In all the others we had no tail movement also, but we wrote it down.
So the results from the experiments carried out at the summer school in July were very helpful for us to get an image of our research both as a theoretical and technical level. Some of the observations are during the attempt to perform the center gallop, we were called to examine how the human body and horse body can be synchronized. It was noted that there was a challenge in synchronizing the human main body with the horse back legs, and it was a note that further approach was needed. There was a better understanding of the performer about the horseback legs by knowing the movement to make by focusing on the horse part. The performance body renders better in a posture standing slightly back bent, since it is in balance with the rest of the horse body. The most important conclusion in the first experiment concerns the importance of hacking methods to record kinetic characteristics of the performer as a center.
We have written down some very interesting notes about the acting analysis and how we can prepare a character, a non-human character like the centaur. There are some very first notes, but they are combining theater itself and acting and using masks. First of all, use the neutral mask in order to reflect the actual centaur body on the human body without overacting and feeling too much the role. Then, first level acting exercises with a neutral centaur body. We have to exercise first the very basics like walk, stand, sit and run. Basic gestures with no feeling. All these are coming from the neutral body and the neutral state. The neutral body and acting draws the actor's nerves through which the feelings will be able to come out later. These are words coming from the book, The Poetic Body of Jacques Lecoq's book. A common point between Lecoq and Kleist methods is that we have to be aware of the differences between center of mass and center of movement. In the case of the center, the imaginary non-human body has a different center of mass and movement. Like we have to a little back bend in order to imitate that the center of mass is not where our center of mass is, but a little back. Then the single humanoid rig has to be more accurate, the technical notes now. If not possible, we have to find a custom rig that should be created. With bold letters, there's no motion capture animation without acting. All performers in motion capture animation should exercise acting. Animating human dolls is not acting. It gives the technical guidelines to exercise your acting. Watching the avatar while exercising is essential. We have to watch ourselves like the character that we're going to be, we're animating. Fortunately, as you saw before, the late versions of Rococo Studio can give this possibility. About the technical part again, we have to experiment more. We have to rig the hacks, find a way to synchronize the back legs with the front legs, also acting with the neutral body and the character body, and exercising a lot, but a lot with the animating human dolls mythology, because this is not a casual body language. We have to exaggerate, we have to put actions before the main actions, like for anticipating. So there are a lot of things to do in order to act like a cartoon character.
Our research will be funded by the Imagine Mockup research program, personality development, digital character design of motion capture, mobile devices, and live coding technologies. And the university research program funded by the National Research Center LTech on the initiative of the Interactive Systems Design Laboratory of the University of the Aegean, in collaboration with the Ionian University and the University of Peloponnese for the period 2023 to 2025. There will be possibility of experimenting with two different costumes at the same time for his two different parts of center body. It's very important, this. The results of this paper will also be applied to different non-human characters like insects, hybrid, bird-like characters, reptiles, etc. Finally, the ultimate goal is the integration of non-human characters on stage with a live performance. There are some of our references for this paper, so thank you very much.